So we're going to welcome our wonderful guest. Ina Lanara is a multidimensional healing practitioner, grid worker, light language channel, and spiritual coach. She works with Lightworkers, Starseeds, and creatives who are boots on the ground emissaries for the shift in consciousness. Her clients include professionals and service providers who are serving humanity in the workplace and in the home and are ready to break through the remaining blocks so they can fully step into their power and spiritual gifts. Ina assists in retrieving, clearing, and healing the many aspects of the quantum creator self that are ready to return in wholeness in order to complete their missions. And you can connect with Ina on Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon, as well as on her website. Welcome, Ina. Very glad that you're here, and much love to you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. See who we can assist.
Wonderful. We'll just have some interview questions for Ina, because I feel like the work she does is in some ways, I want to say unusual in the sense that she's not your average intuitive or psychic. She's not just your average Reiki master. It's a lot bigger than that. So Ina, tell us about the work you do. How is it different from other energy workers?
Well, so I did start out as a Reiki master, and
yes.
Unbeknownst to me, new energies came in as I was working. And so the work that I do is quantum, meaning that I reach many different dimensions, realities, other worlds, galactic realms. I work with ancestral lines. I work with shadow and what we would call kink, which are just the versions that kind of love being miserable. I work with childhood versions. So the work that I do is meant to reach as many aspects and spaces of us that exist so that we can clear as much as possible in order to be in these, moving into the new earth and being in self-love and self-compassion. And really it comes back to self. We can't serve at the highest level. We can, of course, but we're not in wholeness. We're not serving at our highest expression if we are still struggling with a lot of blocks and energies and densities, not only from this reality, from childhood and traumas and so forth, but in other dimensions and realities. And it sounds complex, and it can be, but just think of it kind of like a personal matrices or a grid that you exist in, and there are many different versions of you at one time living out as a conscious creator, right? So in that grid and in those realities, you are experiencing many different things to know yourself in many different ways. And so they filter in through the veils, we would say, and they can affect this reality as you're listening to me now. So yes, we have childhood traumas, and a lot of that is and has been cleared, but we also, what's coming online now, especially because of these immense energies, and every time I'm on, Caroline, they're immense, but they just get more intense, right? So it can really affect the veils and our ability to reach into those dimensional spaces and understand who we are and remember our gifts, our spiritual gifts, our psychic abilities, intuitive abilities, and all of those memories and how they affect our emotional system and our physical system. So not only do we work in those dimensions, but I work with the five bodies in particular: the physical, the mind, the emotional system, the spiritual, and the etheric. And so that is the human construct, that's the human vessel, and we are unique in that we have those 5 bodies and we experience our bodies in that way. So if you put all of that together, it's kind of a recipe for big release and deep release. And that's the work that I do. And I work with starseeds, and now especially a lot of people who are feeling very much like they've got a mission but can't quite get there. They've done a lot of work. They've done a ton of healing work, but they know there's one or two things that are blocking them. And so I help them to block that so they can embody that mission more fully.
Absolutely wonderful. And I know that you've helped a lot of people in really beautiful ways, because they do tend to really rave about your work. And I've seen what you've been able to do for people on your YouTube channel, which is Quantum Alchemy Ina. Yes, that's Instagram.
Yes.
And YouTube. how often is it that you do a session with people? It's a YouTube live and you work with two people energetically, whatever they present.
Yes, that's once a week on Wednesdays. The first Wednesday is always a live open clearing, meaning that I choose two people and we work within 30 minutes, so it's super fast, but we get a lot done, we get a lot of clearing done. And then the second Wednesday is also YouTube, but that's more around autoimmune disorders, the immune system, and wellness in general, so chronic illness. And that is a group clearing. That's not a personal clearing. And then Wednesday, the third Wednesday of the month, I do a free live Zoom clearing. And in order to get that link, all you have to do is send me an email and say, hey, I'd like to join. And I'll send you the link for that. And then they have the ability to view the replay. That is also clearing with two people, but it's private. Some people are uncomfortable with the YouTube platform, so we do a Zoom.
Absolutely wonderful. You really offer an awful lot, considering that, this is offered very freely. And what's interesting to me, I know I've said this a lot, but sometimes people don't always value what's free, but then when it comes down to spending the money for a session, they'll say, well, I just can't budget that right now. So then I come back and say, well, then take advantage of the stuff that's free. Please do.
Yes.
I understand about budgeting. I hear you.
Yes, absolutely.
Around, So, yeah. All right, so I find that this is an intense time for Lightworkers and Starseed. It really is. So what do you feel, what is, for one thing, really special and wonderful about our lives at this time, being Starseed and or light bearers, but also what needs the most help or attention right now?
Let's start with what needs most help and attention. I think that, again, because the veils are so thin and people are having access to memories and emotions and feelings that are out of their reach, so to speak. In other words, they're still coming online. That has been a challenge for a lot of people, and that presents mostly out in the quantum. So what I'm seeing a lot of right now are contracts and agreements that they made to themselves to not finish up these ascension timelines. So in other words, many light workers have been on the ascension timeline train, let's just say, for many eons, not only on this planet, but in other ones. And I'm seeing this, at least with the people that I work with. They have made agreements because it has been so hard and the dark has been victorious at that moment in those timelines, that they have hidden parts of themselves away within their own being, within the fabric of consciousness, creator consciousness, and those missing parts, so to speak, or those parts of them that are like, no way, I'm not doing this again. This was too painful. And I'm seeing a lot of people say and feel and know that the pain of humanity, or even out in the galactic realms, the pain of I couldn't help them, I couldn't save them, there's nothing I could do, feeling like God, source, is outside of them and was betraying them. That's been a big thing lately. So I know that sounds really heavy and deep, but that's a lot of what's coming through. That was not the case, I would say, 4 or 5 months ago. This is something that's brand new, that's coming online, that people are really having access to. So working through those wounded parts of us that know how difficult this journey has been, and kind of squaring with that and letting those wounded parts know that they are in control now, that the person that's here in this reality and understands the work and the mission, that they have got those versions, they've got their back, if that makes sense, right? So almost like a loving parent, right? Yes. Bringing back the child parts. So yeah, that's been the hardest challenge right now, and connecting them. And then the most exciting part is that, in my experience, that there are many of us who have been doing the work for a very long time who are starting to feel the shift. And I would say that happened about a month or two ago, like a real true shift, maybe even, 6 months ago. There was a real shift into joy, towards abundance, towards an understanding of self and love at a level that we haven't perhaps had access to as well. So things clicking. So all that inner work really coming in. And this is an exciting time in that sense, because now we're in the space, a group of us, the wave of us who have been doing that work for a long time. We're in this space to really assist others. So that's very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Oh, how amazing. Absolutely beautiful. And I know you and I feel very blessed to be in a place where we can see people's light breaking through so powerfully. And, this feeling that humanity has had for so long, which you just described, that there might be a loving parent somewhere in the universe, but we seem to have been left behind. This is so much rising to the surface to be finally healed and finally dealt with. And thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. I think we've all been through that, and we've all seen it in others. I received an email recently from someone, a light bearer, said that they just felt like they just were almost not exactly failing the ascension path, but not really fulfilling it. And what would you say if somebody came to you and said that? I mean, they weren't being specific about what they meant by that, and yet I kind of understood.
Oh, sure. I mean, I personally went through that as well. I think that's part of the Starseed journey as well. So there's comfort in that, Yeah. But I would say that we are doing so much work in other dimensions that we are unaware of. We are doing a tremendous amount of work as we sleep. So what we would call dream time. We are anchoring so much light, whether you're a grid worker or a crystal master or a Reiki master, or, we are traveling, doing so much work in other dimensions, which is why a lot of us are feeling confused and fuzzy and tired when we wake up in the morning, right? I would say that to give, and it's easier said than done because you cannot see those realms and we don't always understand those realms, but to give yourself a big hug and as much rest as possible, because you are doing work. Trust that you are doing tremendous work right now. You would not be here if this is part of your mission. You would not be here if you weren't doing the work. And I know that's hard. That's a self-trust. That's a lot of self-trust. But I'm hearing that. I hear that from people as well.
Well, self-trust is difficult when we've had so many lives where the idea of having, as you were saying, self-compassion, absolutely out of the question for so many religious constructs, and using one's intuition, trusting that, again, out of the question. People are naturally evil, is what we've been taught, and you can't trust your heart, and you can't trust your intuition. And to come out of all that after thousands of years is like scaling Mount Kilimanjaro. It's just tremendous what we put in front of ourselves, and we need to show a lot of compassion and not come to the conclusion, I think, that we're missing the boat. How do we know that?
Absolutely. You make a really good point. And I see this a lot too. This is another Starseed trait that's coming forth too, which is the trust of self, the trust in self. And for all the reasons you just stated, Caroline, very well said. This is part of the journey though, is to understand that everything that we need is inside of us. We've been taught for so long to look outside of ourselves. It's really important that even if it feels like dissonance within us, it doesn't feel, it's hard to kind of wrap our heads around. We have these belief systems that we're deconstructing and releasing. As much as we can look inward, there is a meditation that was given to me by one of my coaches, and it's I am loved, I am lovable, I am first best. I think it's beautiful. I am loved, I am lovable, I am first best. And it sounds like it wouldn't connect to that self-trust piece, but it really does, because self-trust is simply love, self-love too. It's not selfish, but it's bringing forth our knowing that everything is as it should be. Everything is as it should be.
Yes.
Giving, like you said, a lot of compassion to self.
Absolutely beautiful. When you were saying that affirmation, I'm loved, I'm lovable, I'm first best, I felt my child self, I kind of said it with you the second time inwardly, I felt my child self just sit up, and she was so happy to hear this. And,
Beautiful.
yeah, maybe, that's what all of our children in inner child self needs. Absolutely wonderful. So, something that you do is clear energies from all of our energy bodies, not just physical, but we have so many energy bodies around us, just mental, emotional, etheric, on and on and on. And I want to ask you about that, helping to clear people of things that are in their way, old baggage. We've come in with it. It's not just a matter of what happened to us as children in this life. There's people on this planet now who have been here at least 1,000 times. Maybe you've been here 700-800 times at least. And, why do you feel it's important right now, that we clear all these old energies out of our systems, out of all these energy bodies and our physical body? How does that help humanity, and how does that help the planet?
Well, we know when we clear ourselves and we heal ourselves, because we are oneness consciousness, right? Because we are fractal pieces of consciousness existing all at one time, that we are actually helping others and humanity to heal as well. So that energy within us that is being shifted, that is being released and cleared, is helping humanity to clear, shift, and release. So something you can all do, the audience, is to really work on one belief or mindset. And that can be as simple as, I am worthy, I am deserving, however, whatever you want it to be. And allowing someone else to have their process and to have, kind of stay in your own lane, right? I am worthy. That doesn't mean you're combative or you're projecting something onto somebody. Just, I am worthy. I know I can receive this. I know I can. And you work with that for a while. And then notice how your outside world shifts. So notice how strangers that you come across treat you, or interactions on a phone call for paying a bill or something. So normally paying attention, I'll give an example. I have a client who is really struggling with anger and resentment and self-love. And they did a lot of mindset shift and energy shift. And I'm trying to think how they worked with it, but I think what they said is, instead of, when the anger rose up, instead of getting angry and reactive and kind of triggered, they said, I forgive you. I think this is beautiful. I forgive you. Yep, I forgive you. Kind of like Ho'oponopono, right? I forgive you. And they said that the shift around them within a week, their partner, their husband, reacted completely differently, took responsibility for things that he wasn't taking responsibility for. Strangers on the street were saying hello to her, whereas she was having kind of conflicts with people. She had an incident where people around her were kind of breaking out in a fight, and she said, I forgive you, and she stayed in her center. And she had been waiting in line somewhere and wasn't able to get in, and that's why the fight broke out. As she was in her center, someone moved the fight off. The place was supposedly closed, but she stepped to the line and she was allowed to take care of her business there. So she really just created a whole different reality. So kind of a long story, but yeah, really working with your energy and working with your reality a little bit, it makes a huge difference.
Wow, absolutely beautiful. Do you know, that brings to mind a story Louise Hay, the late Louise Hay, would tell, that she would have people do mirror work where they look deeply into their eyes in the mirror and say, I forgive you, over and over. It's the same idea. And very often, she said, within a few weeks, sometimes less, they would be contacted by family members whom they hadn't spoken to in maybe a decade or more, people that they just had not been able to get along with. Suddenly, there was a bridge there, and they could both, meet on that bridge. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm so glad that you were able to assist that way. And then you assist energetically as well. I know you can see a lot in the etheric, so I think you're probably working to remove old barriers that have been put there in other lives. And I find that there's a lot that people take on very unconsciously in different lives. They don't even know what they're calling on sometimes. They might be calling on something kind of dark. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think, which is understandable. I certainly still have to discern and kind of sort that out. But sometimes we feel like because we're in this reality, it's all us.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. With energies, it can be collective. It can be exactly what you're saying, that many lifetimes of belief systems, and they tend to, because we want to know ourselves and we want to learn some lessons, right? They tend to repeat. The lessons repeat, right, over the eons, and they repeat in this lifetime as well. So lots of lessons coming in, and we have to make the connection first and establish where that's coming from. Is it coming from this lifetime here in this reality, or is it coming from another lifetime or a galactic lifetime, or is it an aspect of who you are now that just was hurt and wounded and needs some healing? So it's the discernment for sure.
Oh, fantastic. That's beautifully said. Thank you, Ina. We do have a caller on the line, Kaya from Florida, and she's a question based on the idea that world peace is going to come from the Middle East, and whether the current situation that's happening there isn't the start of that. So that's interesting. Kaya, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yes. Thank you so much, Caroline and Ina. I love both your work. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Of course. Thank you.
Of course. Hi, Kaya.
That is a fascinating question, because I have heard people say and make predictions that world peace is going to come from the Middle East. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know. Ina, do you want to comment? Or I'll ask my co-hosts as well if they'd like to comment.
Sure.
Can I add one thing to that?
Of course.
Where I got that from is that decades ago, Cryon, through Lee Carroll, had channeled that world peace would come from the Middle East and that we should watch for that. And when this conflict came up, it sort of triggered that flag and made me remember that.
Yeah.
And of course, with Captain Ashtar's ship being called the New Jerusalem, I'm just wondering if this isn't a domino effect or a stepping stone. And I'd just like for your perspective, please.
Wow.
Could I add something?
Yes, sure, Omina. Go ahead, and we'll hear from Ina after that. Mm-hmm.
I'll make it quick. Remember when I told you Jesus Christ was back on the earth?
Yeah.
Well, when this conflict started, I knew he wasn't in this country. I got a very clear message he was in Israel.
Yeah, wow.
So it would not surprise me at all. He didn't disclose who he was, but it would not surprise me at all if peace doesn't come from the Middle East.
Wow.
I would expect it. But he's there in a big presence. He hasn't made himself known yet. He's collecting a band, you might say, because remember, he was a Palestinian Jew.
Yes.
And this conflict has been the conflict between the Middle East and all of that area has been going on for centuries.
Yes.
Okay, so this is like the accumulation of all that negative energy. But anyway, they told me to tell you he was there.
Oh, beautiful.
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 So if he remembers the meditation, make sure you have him standing on top of the world or he's holding it in his hands.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Omina. I have heard this. I have heard this kind of prophecy before, and it is fascinating. What's your intuitive feeling, Ina, when you hear the idea that peace could start there? I feel it's a possibility. That's what I'm hearing.
I feel that too.
Yeah,
I definitely feel that too. I feel like what we're seeing now is, some other places around the world where there's war and conflict. At this moment in time, I had a vision the other day where these spaces where the darkness has really been prominent, as Omina says, it's been centuries, right? Eons, thousands of years, right? Thousands of years where these conflicts have been going on. Yes. I had this vision of kind of like this vortex of like a drain, the darkness going down a drain in these points on the planet. And we know that there's some very nefarious things going on in some of these spaces where these wars are happening. So it's very unfortunate that souls are transitioning through that space.
Or you could look at it that they are being relieved.
Yes, and they're probably completing their missions and their purpose here and their
yes, the ones that
their agreements, absolutely, yes,
are
agreed,
are in the grief, but the the only way lasting peace will be there, if it comes from there, the peace has to come from within that conflict that's been there for so long. If you have other leaders of the world getting in there to create the peace, it's not going to last.
Yes, correct.
That's right.
From the heart of the country.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's what will make it permanent.
Yes.
And that's what I'm envisioning.
Yes, I agree.
Beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, if any of the other co-hosts or panelists would like to comment, that's fine. We've also got Rainbird with us online too, so maybe we should bring her in next. Rainbird, are you there? And thank you, Kaya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kaya.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely fascinating question. So, Rainbird, are you with us still?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Hello, my
I
sister.
just wanted to ask to check me for my tenacity with my physicality. I'm going to have a session tomorrow where I will be working with my emotions and my heart and the soul, my soul, and so I want to be in. I want to know that I'm clear. I think this is a good opportunity to make sure I'm clear in my head and my heart and my mental space, my heart space, my emotional space.
Okay,
So it's
wonderful.
pretty wide.
You'd like Ina to take a look and see what she's seeing energetically?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
love that.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. Let's do this. So, Rainbird, I'm going to ask you to just get comfortable as if you're going into meditation. As Caroline was directing when we started, just bringing in those deep breaths. I'm going to ask you to, they're guiding me to start at your root chakra. So let's bring the breath from the root chakra up your central channel of the body. And you bring that up as high as you possibly can. And then just relax into it as you exhale. I'm going to ask you to keep that going as I call in your guides and your highest versions, the ones that know what needs to clear tonight so that you're ready for tomorrow. We've got some beautiful aquamarine light coming in from the right behind you, so that's beautiful. I'm going to anchor you down into Gaia. Aquamarine stone in the center. Chrysalicalis, which is a stone of, I believe I'm saying that correctly, it's a stone of creativity and really connecting it into the higher realms. That's what I see you connecting to in Gaia. And then that energy coming back through your filaments of light, those anchors into your feet, your ankles, your calves, knees, and thighs. Feeling that super light and bright, almost like crisp, clean mountain air. Yeah, got a little bit of density in your legs. We're going to remove that. So pushing out any density and residue that doesn't belong, spirit. We're going to call in any ascended masters, legions of angels. As we bring that light up into that freshness up into your root chakra. A little bit of heaviness in the heart as well, so we'll move up through there. I'm feeling that light moving up at a nice gentle pace through the sacral, the solar plexus, the I am presence, the lower heart, middle heart. Yeah, there's lightning. And I've given you a little realignment, they're saying. Coming a bit to the high heart and into the throat, through the jaw, releasing all the tension in the jaw and the throat, palate of the mouth and teeth. Feel that light brightening and lightening even more, crisper, coming up through the sinuses and the nasal cavities. Coming through the eye sockets, the physical eyes, and then moving itself through the temples into the third eye channel. Got some stuff in the brain too. We're going to bring that up and going into the crown chakra. I'm hearing old belief systems are saying. Something about identity, belief and identity of who you believe yourself to be may not be present to you. It may not be in your awareness. There's something that's still there. So let's remove anything for Rainbird that does not serve her highest good. belief systems about herself and how she shows up in the world, her identity, anything that's been carried over across the quantum field, space, and quantum infinitum, all agreements, contracts, vows, or promises she made to hold that energy, misrepresentation of self and her identity. We want to release all that through the crown chakra, so just rewiring those neural pathways, please. It's like a belief of there's a certain way you believe you have to show up. I know it sounds kind of general, but they're saying let go of that. Just being authentically you is enough, they're saying. It's more than enough. There's your heart space. There it is. Yep. Yeah, the belief that you have to show up in they're saying it again, show up in a certain way. There's an attachment there in the middle heart. We've got Kuan Yin coming in. Kuan Yin is the goddess of compassion, ascended master, self-love, love and compassion for others and kindness. So feel her beautiful powdery, kind of bright white light sparkling and coming in towards the heart space, in the front of the heart space. You could even feel perhaps like an energetic hand laying her hand right in the center of your heart. And she's got the other hand at your solar plexus. I hear her literally saying you can let go. You can let go of the old parts of you that are no longer serving you. Yeah, she's saying they're getting in the way, actually. Listen to me, what are the parts that are getting in the way, please? Something you're hanging on to that needs to be released. If you could be more specific, please. Old love, old relationships, something that's a little bit painful to let go of. Maybe feeling as if when you let go of that, there'll be nothing. Spirit wants to advise you that as you let go and you're in that space of unknowing, not nothingness, but unknowing, that you are making way for something way greater to come towards you. And I see this beautiful light, beautiful energy, very, very exciting, almost eagerness, excitement, abundance coming forth towards you. Just allowing for that as you release. There you go. There you go. All attachments, ties, binds, tethers, cords, out. Shoot for the crystal space and time dimensions. Wraps out. Let's see. All shadow aspects are resistance to letting go of the relationship. Could be relationship with someone too. Sort of old identities releasing out. Kuan Yin coming in, that energy just filling your heart space. Beautiful diamond cord that she's putting right in the center of your heart. Yeah, just like we were talking about, that self-trust, self-love. There's some old habit around, I feel like you're, of course, an empath, around giving and giving and giving. Just releasing some. Yeah, it's not selfish, they're saying. It's time to take care of yourself. They're saying time. Yeah. There it goes. Big old cord just left. Archangel Michael's. Saint Germain coming in and healing that connection to that old attachment, letting it go, exploding it into white light and alchemizing that, bringing it back as love for self and then love for humanity. Bouncing back up that love, filling up your own cup, and then bringing that back, love for humanity, and sending that out. That's beautiful. Beautiful energy. Yeah. Okay. So what I'd like to do is just call your parts and pieces back, your fragments and your soul parts that might have gone at any time. The parts that kind of, once our parts fragment, right, there's the ego comes in to kind of hold space. So we're going to let the ego go and bring back your true authentic self, and just see that coming back as sparks of light, ribbons of light, ready to land anywhere in your bodies. And if that feels a little resistance, just let it stay in your auric field. And then after it's done in the auric field, it will come in naturally into your space. And just let it merge. And we're going to ask for ease and grace as that integration happens. meaning you make simple connections without the triggers, without the emotional sadness or grief or anything like that. So we just want the balanced understanding and knowing. We're going to call back your energy, starting to see your energy come back. Very important to call it back. Only your energy, calling back my energy. Any other beings that have been assisting, returning to rightful souls and spirits. Yeah, good. And then we're going to untether and untie from Gaia and that beautiful core. And bring your filaments of light back in there, knowing that they're just going to keep refreshing you and aligning you so that you're ready to receive tomorrow. Lots of gratitude for all the assistance. Thank you for being here.
Wonderful.
Thank you. 13 thank yous and honey in the heart. Thank you, Ina.
You're so welcome.
Wonderful, Rainbow. Thank you so much. Thank you for calling, and huge blessings on this next session you'll have as well. And what are some ways that people can work with you, Ina?
Yes, so I offer a coaching program that's brand new. I brought it in because it's really effective. I've had great results with it. It's not just energy work. It's 12 sessions, and it includes coaching, so mindset, beliefs, thought habits, conditioning, that type of thing. Any kind of physical activities or action-oriented steps that you would need to take, we work those through. Assessment each week so that we can measure your progress, like physically measure your progress so we have outcomes. Accountability, access to me whenever you need. And if you need assistance and things are super emotional or you're trying to understand something, I'm there for you all the time. And then the energy work, that's the complement. And that helps us move out some of those blocks and really level everything up. So that's one. And then I have larger packages in that realm of coaching. I also offer individual sessions. I offer a 4-session package of just energy work and an 8-session package of just energy work. And then I have 2 Patreon groups. They run Tuesdays and Thursday nights. One is a group for those of you who want to go kind of deep into this work, multidimensional work, understanding your own, really up-leveling your gifts. And that's the crystalline group on Tuesday nights. And then I have the Patreon group where I do clearings just like this for a group. So lots of ways. And then the free clearing. So lots of ways to work with me.
Fantastic. And so Ina's website will list all these different offerings. That's still under her former name at the moment, which was Sherry Bausch. Sherry with an I at the end, Sherri, and then Bausch, like Bausch and Lomb. B as in boy, A-U, S as in Sam, CH.com, sherrybausch.com. And you can find her under that name on Facebook, on Instagram and YouTube. It's Quantum Alchemy Ina. And definitely subscribe to Ina on Facebook, on YouTube, because she just does these wonderful videos that give you such a lift. Now, if people want to email you, would the yourmindfulcreativelife@gmail.com, would that be a good email to use, Ina?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's great.
So yourmindfulcreativelife@gmail.com. Wonderful. And patreon.com/Sherri Ina, SHERRI, and then INA. Fantastic. As always, it's a huge honor to have you here, Ina.
No worries.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for your beautiful contributions, not only to this show, and we love having you here. We'll have to have you back again soon, but also your huge contribution to the planet right now and to everyone seeking assistance and seeking support and encouragement, that they're not off the path, that they're doing fine and they just need to keep going. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Huge thanks and much love, my sister. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's always an honor, and I'm looking forward to coming back. Thank you to all of your co-hosts. I love being here. I appreciate you.
Wonderful. Huge blessings.